Hello and welcome to another video for the Hoylett Computer Club. This is Tom of the club. So today I think we'll be looking at the sorted function, and to look at the sorted function we're going to be solving a problem. So I think the problem is we need to think about how to tell if something's an anagram of another word. So if we're looking at two different words and we say, well, is that an anagram of that word? So as per usual, let's open up Vim. We'll say anagram.py. So the concepts here. Initially we've got to take two strings and check if one is an anagram of the other. Now, saying this, the idea of an anagram is a jumbled up version of something. Yeah, like for instance, my last name, Tarpley. You could perhaps have an anagram saying P-Y-R-A-T-E. So, because you just jumbled up the letters to make another word. So if you check those two strings, we'd expect it to return true. If I checked something like Tarpley against Poodle, we'd expect false, because Tarpley and Poodle, they're not a jumbled up version of each other. There's no correlation between those things. So that being said, let's think about what we need to do. Remember I said about using the sorted? Well, if we sort both of these, they should be exactly the same word, like sorting them alphabetically, right? So that must be the easiest, in my mind, way of finding out if something's an anagram in that sense, programmatically. So let's define a new function called isAnagram, taking in string 1 and string 2, and then we're going to compare those two strings. So the thing is, we need what we want to do, we just want to check whether the letters are the same, so we don't really care about case. So another thing that we can actually use is the lower functionality on a string. Now the other thing is, we don't want to be bothered about spaces, even though you could argue that, like, you know, okay, it's not an anagram, it's, but usually it's like if you've took the letters out of one thing, jumbled them up and turned it into something else, you should be using those letters. And even if you're making it into multiple words, that should be pretty much that. You could like utilize all the letters and just change it into two different sentences if you like. So for our case, we're going to say, okay, what's the other thing we want to say? So take two strings and do that. If the strings are or contain spaces, we will remove them. That doesn't sound very, that might sound like we're going to remove the strings. Remove the spaces. We are not concerned with the case of the letters, so we don't care whether they're capital or small. That's some prerequisites we're going to choose on that, how we're going to do this basically. So that being said, let's go off and replace all of the spaces. So we're going to be using a string replace as well. So if I say str1 is equal to str1 dot replace, and I can replace all of the spaces with no character, okay? And we can do the same with str2. Okay, so now that we've replaced those, we can now turn them all to lowercase as well. So we could say str1 dot lower, and str2 dot lower. Okay, so now we've removed all of the spaces and we've also made them all lowercase, so we've normalized them. Now we can just literally return the sorted version of each of them and check whether they're equal or not. So we can say let's call it output equals, and we'll get the sorted version of str1. Check whether it's equal with the double equals of sorted of str2. This will be a true or false, and then we can just literally return that. Okay. So that's our logic, and it's, you know, step by step. We've got, let's actually comment this a little bit. So let's say replace all spaces with empty characters. In other words, just get rid of the spaces, or you could say just remove all spaces. Yeah, remove all spaces. Set both strings to be lowercase. That could be one word actually. Okay, and then test to see if both sorted strings are equal. Return the, we'll call it result. So I'm going to rename that slightly just to make more sense. Okay, now let's try and use it. Right, so we have a couple of test cases, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say S1 equals copy, S2 equals pyrate, and let's say S3 equals poodle. So first off, I'm going to print is pyrate an anagram of Tarpy, and then put is anagram and pass it S1 and S2. Okay. Close that. Right, so that's that. Now we can do the similar sort of thing. Print is poodle an anagram of Tarpy. Is anagram. Now we're checking S1 and S3. Okay, let's write and save that. So write and quit that. Let's do Python 3 anagram.py. Is pirate an anagram of Tarpy? False. We have a problem. What's the problem? Pyrate Tarpey, false. Poodle, false. So we're getting kind of a negative here. Yeah. So what we need to think about is, what is this doing? Is it actually being destructive? Is it showing us what we expect? Let's have another look over this. So first we removed all spaces. And here's a good time to actually do some sort of like diagnostics of what is happening. We can, for now, let's just use print statements. So print str1 and then print str2. Then check that both of these have been set to lowercase. So then we'll print str1 and print str2. So we're expecting those to be lowered. Then we'll print the result. Okay. So let's try that out. Let's have a look. Okay, so our lowercase didn't work like that. So we need to actually do some interesting things here. That's not giving us lowercase, was it? So there's the normal stuff. And that's lowercase, but it didn't lowercase it. So that's the problem, it's not lowercased. There's our problem. Because they won't be the same if we sort them. Okay, so let's have a look at what's actually happening there. So we're doing a replacement, and then bowstring lowercase. So, I can see what I'm not doing. Guess what's missing here? Right, lowercase is not a destructive thing. So what's happening is we need to set str1 to the lowercase of it. So str1 equals and str2 equals. That's better. So all that was, it was a case of a little typo on my part, because I'm trying to be a little bit overly verbose. Under normal circumstances, I'd kind of concatenate the replace and the lower into one thing, so which we will do in a moment. So the idea here is we have a working algorithm. True and false are correct. So it's like Pyrate is an anagram of Tarpey, true. Poodle is an anagram of Tarpey, false. So we've kind of got the way of testing it. So now if we go in, we can clean this up a bit first. Let's get rid of some of these prints. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to set these parts where we can kind of do the same thing. Oops. There we go. So I want to do those two things together. So what I want to do now is I want to chain these together. So if I insert again, I want to do dot lower just on the end of these, and it'll do the same sort of thing just in one line instead. Dot lower, and then if we delete those two, that's it. That's done both of those. It removes all spaces and set both strings to be lowercase. And see this result, this is kind of an unneeded variable as well. So instead of returning result, we can just literally put a return here. So we'll add and return the result. Now we can get rid of that part. And it's a little bit of a cleaner sort of algorithm now. Again, it's less verbose, but slightly more concise. So now let's write and quit. Let's try that one more time to make sure everything's working. Pirate is an anagram of Tarpey, true. Poodle is an anagram of Tarpey, false. So now we could do a few more tests just for completeness. Okay, I'm not going to be quite as verbose in my wording there. Let's add some spaces here, some spaces there, spaces there, spaces there. So now we've got some spaces in there. It could be just a string. So we can now test its resilience. It's still giving us the same sort of result because it's cleaning up that text. Okay, hopefully that's been an interesting one. Basically, sorted is non-destructive. So if I were to use sorted on a string, it outputs the sorted version of it as a new thing. There's also a .sort method that you can use, but that's for another video. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'll go back into the Vim just so you've got another quick look into what we've done. So we took two strings, checked is one an anagram to the other or of the other. If the strings contain space, we remove the spaces. If we're not concerned with the case of the letters. So if I check that versus that, it's true, that versus that, it's false, irrelevant to their case. So we removed all spaces, we set both strings to be lowercase. We test to see if both sorted strings are equal and then return the result of what that was. And then we gave it some slightly contrived sort of spacing just to prove the point of it working with spaces. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you enjoyed the thing, feel free to give a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this or different to this, do feel free to comment. And if you want to keep up to date with what we're outputting, feel free to subscribe and click that notification bell icon. Have a good day. Bye bye.